Hello, this is Sarah Ann Minkin from the Foundation for Middle East Peace. Welcome to another edition of our podcast, Occupied Thoughts. It is my honor today to be hosting attorney Sawsan Zaher, a human rights attorney and deputy general director and senior litigator at Adalah, the legal center for the Arab minority rights in Israel. Her full bio is available on our website. Sawsan, thank you so much for being here with us today. I know you're incredibly busy.
Hi, Sarah, and hi, everyone.
Thank you. Can you tell us about what's happening right now in Haifa and in the other so-called mixed cities?
Yeah, in Haifa, we are basically, it's very hard to start describing it because actually, like I'm a Haifa resident for more than 25 years. I have never seen such scenes in downtown, in the neighborhood, in the Arab neighborhoods inside of Haifa. And of course, if just to give also a background, because I cannot disconnect what's happening in Haifa with the wider picture, because things started during the beginning of the Ramadan month in East Jerusalem, where the Israeli police imposed a lot of obstacles for the entry of worshippers to the old city where the Al-Aqsa Mosque is. At some point last week, towards the Laylat al-Qadr, which is the Al-Qadr evening, which is regarded one of the most, or even the most holy night for Muslims, where they all go to pray in Al-Mosque, in the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Israeli police entered the mosque during the prayer of the worshippers. And with using excessive violence never seen before, closing even a health clinic that was as well established there on the spot, preventing more than 20 buses of Palestinian citizens of Israel who wanted to go to Al-Aqsa Mosque that evening in order to pray, prevented them from entering Jerusalem, blocked the buses from entering Jerusalem. Eventually, of course, a lot of them were able to walk to Jerusalem for more than 1.5 hours in order to reach it. And things started to escalate from there. At the same time as well, there was the intimidation, the immediate, imminent intimidation of the forced eviction of more than 300 residents, Palestinian residents, in the Palestinian neighborhood of Sheikh Jarrah in East Jerusalem for the benefit of settlers, using laws, claiming that the Israeli laws that basically were enacted in the 1950s in order to allow the confiscation of Palestinian refugees' property. So using these laws in order to claim property for their own. So this basically the forced eviction, in addition to the excessive force in Al-Aqsa Mosque, led to a lot of demonstrations by Palestinian citizens in Israel, in Arab towns, and mixed cities. Now, these were peaceful demonstrations. They started last Sunday on the 9th or 10th of May, if I'm not wrong. And instead of keeping it peaceful, the Israeli police started to attack the demonstrators, started to arrest and violently Palestinian demonstrators all over, also including in Haifa. Things started to escalate by attacking more and more Arabs. One person was killed in lead, and things started all over nationwide as well on a national level to escalate. Now, we started to see that the demonstrations, of course, continued. In Haifa, we had a few demonstrations, but what we started to see, and I was there present in one of the big demonstrations in Haifa, was that we started to see that there were right-wing extreme settlers from outside the city that came in order to demonstrate parallel to the Palestinians. But we also saw that they were standing near the police officers in the beginning in the numbers of tens, and then suddenly they became hundreds, accompanied by the police, waiting and standing by the police. And at some point, they started to attack the protesters. All the arrested people were Palestinians. None of them was from the settlers. They started to go around, attack on on their right and their left, and no one was basically accountable. No one was arrested. We started as well to monitor these groups. We are finding out so far that these are organized right-wing extreme groups by settlers, including those from the West Bank, that are organizing themselves through social media by circulating invitations and encouraging others to follow them to enter Arab towns, mixed cities, including Haifa, including Led, including Jaffa, in order to attack Arabs. They said the time, they said the place, they said which cities, which towns to go. They arrive Haifa by buses, police officers waiting for them, accompanying them, and doing basically nothing, only arresting and being violently against Palestinians. We got testimonies from Haifa residents, 3 young girls that were attacked as well by these settlers in downtown Haifa, where they live, near where they live, called for police, didn't come, asked for the police, who they later found out that he is in the area, and he didn't come for help. We also are seeing that in Led. For example, in Led, for the first time in a very exceptional way, Led was the city that was announced on May 12th for the first time since the military rule ended in 1967. It was declared as a civil emergency city, which means that there is a curfew. Despite the curfew, we did see that the police enabled the right-wing settler group to enter Led, attack homes, attack property, attack mosques. Now, and this is we are seeing it everywhere. Now, if I'll get back to Haifa, because it also, it's like a pattern that's happening in a lot of places. We're seeing violence by the police, but easiness towards the settler. The police violence during the arrests, not only at the time of the arrest itself, but also we're getting testimonies that they're being beaten by the police in the police stations, refusal to provide them medical care inside of the stations, despite of the fact that the law obliges them to first provide medical treatment, and then enable the investigation. A request to extend the detention for more and more days. We're seeing journalists Arab journalists that are being arrested for nothing. Later on, many of them are being released by court orders because we were trying to represent. So what we are trying to do in Adalah is basically try to cover all of these issues, in addition to phenomena as well that we are seeing of intentional cut of electricity in Arab towns in order to discourage people to go out and demonstrate. Or in another village in the north called Jdeid Mecca, where it was all the entrances to this village were where they had blocks that basically checkpoints, whether by blocking or whether by police checkpoint, annoying every person who wanted to come in and get in, and not allowing people basically to move freely in order to distract or to try to put more and more obstacles on people to get out and demonstrate. Now, all of these issues are issues that we are dealing on a legal level, whether it's legal interventions to the Homeland Security, National Security Minister, whether it's to the Minister of Justice, whether it's to the Attorney General. But we are seeing very, very dangerous patterns that we haven't seen before. And unfortunately, it is being backed up by the Israeli media, which is providing misleading information and misleading coverage about Arabs attacking Jews without any mention about the support that the police is providing to all of these settler extreme right-wing groups that are headed, as we all know, by Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is a Kach activist and has now became in the last election as a member of the parliament. And it's very worrying because basically now they are backed up with a lot of budgets. So in order to enable the funding of such organized activities. I'm not sure if I mentioned or not, but in the last 2 days, we saw as well these right-wing activist marking houses I think I did mention that, but
you didn't tell us. I want to ask you to tell us about that, and I'm just going to back up for one quick second, since you said Itamar Ben-Gvir is a Kach activist, to tell our audience that Kach is Kahana Chai. It's a follower of Rabbi Meir Kahana, a Jewish supremacist.
Yes.
But tell us about the marking of the houses.
We have been receiving, of course, from documentation of residents in several neighborhoods, whether it's in Haifa, we saw that today, whether it's in Led, whether it's in Ramle, as well a mixed city, of right-wing activists marking either in red or in yellow houses or buildings where Arabs are living. Of course, I think that everyone would, start making the parallel imagination with World War II and Germany of marking, but yes, it's getting back up also from the Israeli media, but also most importantly by political officials headed by Netanyahu, headed by the Prime Minister. Now, Netanyahu is issuing statements as well that we can consider them as inciting against Arabs. So from our point of view, we are in a situation that we are not protected. We're not talking about racial segregation that amounts apartheid only. We're not only talking about colonial patterns that aimed for more and domination and more racism. We are talking about a situation where there is no protection for us. Therefore, together with the High Follow-up Committee, which is the body, the highest political body for Arab citizens in Israel. It includes all political parties, whether they are represented in the Knesset or whether they are not. And we issued out a statement to UN officials and of course sent it out to embassies all around in EU and in the US, calling for protection. Basically intervention in order to get protection, because this is the first time that such a call gets out in the name of the Arab political leaders and Arab NGOs, because not only that there is no accountability, which we have been seeing, of course, all the time. This is not the first time that we are viewing police violence and racial discrimination, but now that it's backed up or it is being promoted by this organized violence by the settlers, we are now reaching a situation where international intervention must be. We issued this statement knowing that at 5 p.m. today, Haifa time, the UN Security Council did hold a session about that. Also, of course, considering the fact that we're now talking about all these circumstances, add to it the war on Gaza. So this is like the situation in a nutshell, if I may mention.
Thank you, Sawsan. And I know you have so much to do. You're doing so much work right now. So I thank you for taking this time with us. Is there anything else that you want an American audience to know about what's happening now?
No, I think that the most important thing is that, to get the facts from firsthand, that there is, again, like the misleading coverage is very brutal and violent, like and very aggressive. I urge everyone as well to get into Adalah's website, where you can find a lot of the information on the work that we are doing. We are trying really to document all these violations, all the situation, including the discriminatory enforcement of the curfew in Led, including all the issues that I mentioned, and including most importantly as well the issue of incitement to violence and racism by this violent group, backing it with all the invitations and all the evidence that we can. We will hopefully very soon, when we are able to issue a report that will document all the facts that happened, and not the fake news. And I urge everyone to continue and follow us and follow our work.
Thank you. So Sawsan Zaher, Deputy Director of Adalah, adalah.org. You can follow them. We're going to have links up on our website, and when that report comes out, we're going to share that also. Sawsan, I'm so grateful to you for taking the time with us today. And for all of our audience, thank you for joining us for this episode of Occupied Thoughts, a Foundation for Middle East Peace podcast. Please subscribe, continue to follow the information, come back to our website for our events and podcasts and conversations, especially with our partners at Adalah and other partners in the region in Israel, Palestine. Thank you so much, Sawsan.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Sarah.